This morning we are going to have an adult conversation with our San Diego 6 Chief Psychologist, Dr. Jeff Daly. So now might be a good time to send the kiddos out of the room, maybe on to brush their teeth this morning. We are going to talk about something that may be more common than you might think. Have you heard of the term asexuality? That's what we're talking about this morning. Dr. Daly, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. So define what that is. People have heard the term. They're not exactly sure what that means.
Asexuality is not having a sex drive or an attraction or even a desire to engage in an intimate relationship or even just to have sex.
Okay, is this something, a lifestyle people choose, something that they're born with?
So I think there's a misperception. I think not only do doctors see it one way, but society sees it the same way, which is it's probably a result of, say, trauma, say because of medicine or because of a medical condition where it lowers our libido. That's not what true asexuality is. In fact, if you really read the research and you listen to people who are asexual, they'll tell you this is their sexual orientation.
Their sexual orientation.
Yes, this is their preferred lifestyle. In fact, they don't complain. This is their preferred way of living. This is how they're wired. And so they live their life fine. In fact, the conflict comes in relationships. The conflict comes when they talk about it and other people go, wait a minute. Sex drive is biological, it's primitive, it keeps us alive, it keeps us going on this earth. Why don't you have it? So there is this misperception, and from a doctor perspective, I think we want to treat it, but that's really not what we're supposed to.
Is it treatable?
Well, that's just it. So if it's coming from a place of, I'm on medicine, so now I have low libido. I'm overweight, so I have low sex drive. I've had a traumatic event. That's treatable, because it's secondary to a problem.
And that's not the definition of asexuality.
That's not the definition, but that's the common definition. So today is about defining really what it is, a sexual orientation. If 1% of adults have it, that's a lot of people. You figure over 7 billion people on the earth. That's a lot of people. And in fact, when you really listen, this is their way of living. They don't complain. This is okay for them. They get their excitement from other avenues, and they have families, and they do everything else.
Okay, so if you are in a relationship with somebody who has a low sex drive, but at one point did have a sex drive, and they're saying, oh, maybe I'm asexual, that's probably not the case here. They may be dealing with something else.
And that's actually more common. So when you have a couple and one is more sexual than the other, that's more common than what we're talking about. We're talking about true asexuality, where the parts of the brain, it's like a whole orchestra of the brain responsible for sex drive, is different. So that person doesn't have that desire, that passion, that need for sex and that kind of intimacy. And so, of course, when you line up in a relationship and the other person has a sex drive, it's going to cause a lot of problems, of course. But that person by themselves is okay, so we don't treat them.
What do you suggest people do if they feel like they may be in a relationship with somebody that's asexual, or they may be asexual themselves? How do they know for sure?
Well, what's interesting, the reason we're talking about this now is a new study came out that actually created an inventory, a test that you can take online. It's the Asexuality Identification Scale, and you can take it online. If you want to Google it, you can Google it, and it's only, I think, 15 questions, and that's a good start. So if you answer positive, they will direct you to maybe some help. They can direct you towards, hey, here's a support group, or even this is maybe what you have that explains the way you feel, and armed with that information, you can do what you want with it.
There you go. Dr. Jeff Daly, thank you so much for coming in this
Thank you,
morning.
Heather.
Interesting conversation.
I think so.
A lot of people hear the term and they might tune out right away, but when it's affecting 1% of our population, it's something we should be paying attention to.
That's a lot of people.
All right,
okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.